Hi everyone, good morning. Do you struggle with creating your content efficiently? I know I've had a lot of problems with it, so I've done a lot of research and it has resulted into this FleeCorporate bite-sized creation looking at content creation. I'm Lisa, the Rat Race Escapee, and welcome to this video. If you've enjoyed it, please like and share it and follow our channel. So, getting straight into it. Bite-sized resources. How do you plan your content efficiently? You start with a strategy. So my strategy involves planning what I want to talk about, outlining and figuring out how I'm going to say it, drafting it, including all the images and details, fact checking it because you never know when something has slipped in, and then creating all the ancillary documents. So things like my Pinterest pin, what tweet I'm going to do about it, any other graphics that I all of a sudden think about, or any downloads that might be useful to my audience. So the plan, what are you going to talk about? So there's lots of ideas out there, but where do you find them? What about doing things like starting to type your niche into Google? That's a brilliant one. Or looking at keyword generator tools, or having a look at social media. What are people posting about it on Facebook or Pinterest or Twitter or Instagram? Then we have a purpose. Is it content or is it copy? Who wants to know? Who's our audience? And how do we get them to interact with it? So, the outline. This is the big bit, and you can see an outline for one of my recent posts here. Details scribbled down. This one doesn't have a lot of drawings on it, but most of them do. Talking about what people's pain points are, how do we fix it? Is it a product or a service? This was to do with my guide to starting your entrepreneurial business. So the detail of what you're going to say. If you're going to write a blog, you want to do your headings. If you're going to do a YouTube video like this one, I tend to create this PowerPoint that you can see in the background because that gives me all my structure and what's important. Then you draft it. So getting it all down, that's hard work. And I spend a lot of time, usually with a pen and a piece of paper actually. And I know it seems counterintuitive to write it and then to type it, but it just seems to work for me. So I scroll it all down in a notebook, draw things, put arrows on, move them around, fleshing out all the details. So this is what I want to talk about. At this stage, I go and do bits of research as well. So I have a point, what can support it? And I also add my graphics. So if I'm putting in diagrams, pictures, models, I go and find relevant graphics while I'm deep into the drafting it phase. When I'm creating videos, I get all my prompts down, I do a dry run. I generally think about it the night before, lying in bed. What do I want to say? How do I want to say it? Who am I targeting it to? What language would they like to hear it in? Is there any slang that I should avoid or use? Also, I create the graphics, the transitions that I want, and then I draft my description that goes onto YouTube. Now, the bit that is a necessary evil. You need to fact check. If you're putting in any form of facts, it has to be right. Are their names spelled correctly? I had one recently where half of the references said Robert and the other half said Bob. So because I was writing a semi-formal article, I had to go with Robert, but I did have to double check just to make sure that Robert was the correct form of this gentleman's first name. What about the sources? Is it a good source? Is it the right source? Have you picked up the right information from the right place? Try to avoid crossing your sources. I did that once in a paper, and that wasn't very good. And are you plagiarism free? And have you checked any copyrights? Just to make sure you're not infringing on anything. So all your images should be either paid for or they should be free from copyright for commercial use. Please do double check that. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble. And don't copy anybody. If you use their information, it's very acceptable to quote them or to put their references in. But if you use it word for word, it doesn't matter how many quotations you put in, unless it's a small excerpt. That's definitely plagiarism. The last thing on this one is if you've got any offers, if you're using affiliate links, if you're using any resources, say here's Grammarly, make sure that the link works and that you've spelled it correctly. And if you're using an affiliate link, please do make sure you've got an affiliate declaration, otherwise you could be in huge amounts of trouble. And then your ancillaries, so all of the fun promotional materials. Now, I like graphic design, so I find this the most fun stage. It's a bit my reward for getting finished. Create your social media marketing images. Choose, in general, if you aren't posting to all of these, choose the ones that are most relevant for your niche. So if you're talking about sports and nutrition, you probably find there's a lot on Instagram, there's a lot on Pinterest. LinkedIn is probably not the most appropriate unless you're a coach and this is your business, perhaps. Facebook would be another good one for that niche. If you're talking to grandmothers, you might find Facebook and Pinterest would be the most appropriate, and Instagram might not be where that demographic hangs out, but then that's some research you'd have to do. Also, consider if you've got a blog, doing a YouTube video to put in your blog, which is where this one's going to go, and also take an excerpt from your blog to put into YouTube. You can also pin videos on Pinterest. You can add them to Facebook. Instagram takes short videos, as does LinkedIn, and you can even link them on Twitter. So if you're using multiple forms of media, you can link them all together. You can even take the audio from your video and put it into a podcast. So just make sure that you're leveraging all of these cross-filtration or cross-contamination in a good way, I guess, for your ancillaries. And then finally, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and you can find us on the internet, on Twitter, or on Pinterest. I shall see you again soon. This is Lisa from FleeCorporate.